Hi everybody, I'm Abe Casbo and I'm here at Seton Hall University with Dean Joyce Strawser and Susan Scherreik, who's the head of the entrepreneurial program here. Thanks so much for being with me.
A pleasure. Thank
Yeah.
you for having us. This is wonderful.
This is exciting. We're here to talk about the entrepreneurial program within the Stillman Business School. But I'm going to start with a question that maybe that's obvious, maybe it's not so obvious. Education is a very didactic, right, very organized discipline. I would argue that being an entrepreneur isn't. So how does this work? You guys are teaching entrepreneurship. It's amazing. But how does it work within the school environment?
So it really plays to our strengths as a business school because we have as a mission goal this concept that we call transforming concepts into business practice. So what that means is we really focus on applied learning. It's not an old model where you're looking just at textbooks, at literature, but in fact you're getting students to do the things that they need to learn. And with entrepreneurship, that's just a natural fit.
Susan, tell me a little bit about how you started the program and kind of the progress over the years. Where did you start? Where are we now?
So we started very slowly. We contacted our alumni entrepreneurs who have always been a part since then of our strong network for mentoring and coaching. And we actually convened them here. And we said, what are the most important qualities that entrepreneurs have that we should teach? So then we started a sales course after that because entrepreneurs really need selling skills. We started undergraduate courses. We started an MBA program. We have a certificate program. But we always prided ourselves, as Joyce had said, on the practical aspect of our program, that we went right to our alumni entrepreneurs and we really focused on what they said it takes.
Entrepreneurship is fraught with failure. How do you teach about failure?
One thing we try to do is distill what do successful entrepreneurs do right. And that's why we have a lot of mentoring, coaching, and guest lectures by alumni and other entrepreneurs. The most exciting thing for me about entrepreneurship education now is that after many years of educators going back and forth about how you teach success, we've come up with a process that we teach through boot camps and startup weekend models. And we tell the students it's like an apprenticeship. You've got to practice entrepreneurship over and over again until you start getting it right. And that practice, you're going to fail a lot. Because as you mentioned, Dave, in the traditional education model, students are not supposed to fail. They're supposed to memorize, for tests. They're supposed to write essays based on what they think their professors want.
The other thing is, too, is that, I might go through this right now and I might not be an entrepreneur, but I've learned some things that could, 5 years from now, turn on and I could use, right? I mean, what are your findings? What do you think?
I think to Susan's point about failure, what that builds in students is a resilience. And to your question, I do think there's some students who start out and think, I'm very interested in this, I have an idea. One of the things we do is when we have them study entrepreneurship, require that they do a second major as well. So they've got a strong business background, a specific focus in a discipline, finance, accounting, management, and the entrepreneurship.
And also, I would think that some of those skills, even within a corporate role, those are important because now corporations and big business of any size really are demanding the entrepreneurship.
What we teach our students is to have an entrepreneurial mindset. And all students and all professionals need that today. Because, Abe, we know that the jobs that our students will have 10 years from now don't even exist today. So we have to teach our students to be opportunistic in the sense that scan your environment, look for opportunities, flexible, nimble, resilient, as Joyce had said.
And I do think such an important component that Susan mentioned earlier is the connection that we have with entrepreneurs, such as yourself. I mean, to have students have connections early on with so many successful entrepreneurs, so many successful mentors they can rely on, that's a powerful thing to build that kind of a network.
So right now, you've got boot camps, you've got startup weekends, you have a Shark Tank, I guess, contest, if you will. Tell me a little bit about that. What's attracting students to these things, especially the Shark Tank Because I saw a lot of high school students actually applied for this.
The students today are the Shark Tank generation. And so students are very motivated by the fact of getting up and pitching an idea and having judges or sharks give them feedback and hopefully some seed capital, which would be the cash awards that the students win. We get over 250 applications every year for the high school contest from over 30 states and several foreign countries. It really attracts the best and brightest students who engage in entrepreneurship on our college level.
I imagine that the entrepreneurial discipline or the lifestyle or the approach isn't necessarily just for business students. So do you work with other disciplines within the school to bring in some of those students and sort of pull them into the entrepreneurial program?
Our goal is to really involve all of our students in cultivating the entrepreneurial mindset.
Absolutely. I mean, you can have an idea coming out of the nursing school, for example, that could be cultivated into a business, right?
The students, and by the way, these were freshmen, nursing students, recognize the problem that exists in a hospital now, and picture a hospital stay. You push the button to call for a nurse. How long is it going to take for the nurse to get to you? Because they don't have any sense of what the urgency of the matter is. You
Right.
might be just wanting some water, but on the other hand, you may be in distress. So they were designing a system whereby you could communicate to the nursing station what it was that you wanted, and that way nurses could prioritize those calls.
That's
So
amazing.
they did a great job, and it was, as you can imagine, it was something that everybody kind of sat back and thought, oh yeah, I remember that experience. That's not a great experience.
Yeah.
This is a good solution.
Oh, that's fascinating.
And what's really great about that, Abe, is that the students in the Stillman School who had been through the entrepreneurial courses and process, and in our entrepreneurship club, they coached those students and helped them with, the business plan, helped them create a video. So what was really wonderful is that another part of entrepreneurship is that they too become coaches. And we really believe in the collaborative model, which helps you to leverage your resources, and it creates a very rich learning experience.
So being an entrepreneur is a solo endeavor, and there's something called founder syndrome, and it tends to be, even though you might have a team of folks around you, the mindset sometimes could be a solitary one. How do you explain that and help your students go beyond that?
We all interact together. So if entrepreneurs can learn while they're still in college to form those strong networks of people that, while yes, they are endeavoring in a solo profession, they have the strong network for feedback, for guidance.
Let's talk about the UPitch New Jersey program that you guys are leading or involved in. Tell me a little more about that.
Well, as we mentioned, Abe, one thing that we really teach our students to do, and which we practice ourselves, is collaboration. So about 4 years ago, about 14 universities in New Jersey, we had the entrepreneurship directors, we'd see each other at conferences in Washington, D.C. or California, and we said to each other, why
Wait,
are
aren't
we
you
not?
competing with those folks?
Actually, we're not,
Okay.
because we all have the same goal, which is to teach students an entrepreneurial mindset to either work in corporations or start their own businesses, and it's a growing, thriving area. So I took the lead to say to everyone, why don't we do a pitch competition? Shark Tank is very important. And so we came up with the name UPitch New Jersey, and we didn't, Joyce, don't be mad at us, we didn't even tell our deans that we were doing it. We just said, let's chip in $600 a year, which is probably the price of a pizza party for 50 kids. And we said we can all get that
So
amount
this is like
together.
a startup for startups.
Yes,
Right?
exactly.
And you work in collaboration. I see where you're
Right.
going.
So it was very exciting for us. So the first year we held it at different universities every year. We've held it at Rutgers, at Princeton, and we were very honored to hold it at Seton Hall last year.
Wow.
And what was very exciting, our keynote speaker was Marcus Weldon, who is the Chief Technology Officer at Nokia and also the president of Bell Labs. He was so impressed, he said, why don't we sponsor it at Bell Labs next year? And that's what we're going to do
Wow.
in April. And so it's very
So
exciting.
of April 2020.
Yes, exactly. And what's really exciting is that our student teams collaborate with the Bell Labs scientists and researchers, and now to have New Jersey collaborate with one of the biggest corporations in innovation
Wow.
in the world is very exciting, and we believe this will be one of the most significant programs in higher ed entrepreneurial education anywhere.
Joyce, Susan, thanks so much for the opportunity to learn more about the Seton Hall Entrepreneurial Program.
Thank you, Abe.
It was a delight for us.